Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me from wherever in the world you are right now. My name is Micah Branch. I am one of the 2025 PARC Playwrights Retreat coordinators, and I am joined by one of this year's cohorts, one of the playwrights, Natalie Meisner. Natalie, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to meet with me.
Absolutely. It is such a privilege and a joy, and I mean this no matter how many times I say it. To get to speak with you guys 5 minutes at the retreat is a crash course master lesson in playwriting in Atlantic Canada. So I'm very grateful.
That's too kind. That's too kind. It's a wonderful environment there. I say this to many, many folks that I've done retreats across the country, but the atmosphere that you all create at Park and in Sackville, that kind of magical combination, it is one of the richest writing environments that I ever have the chance to take part in. And it's usually where I find the roots to new material. It's happened numerous times, like as someone from the East Coast that has lived away. When I come back there, I can have communion with fellow writers, fellow artists, and also that beautiful atmosphere in the Anchorage to just have that quiet time and that focus on the writing. I can usually propel the project that I'm working on ahead, and then quite often I get the gift of a new piece at the same time. I don't want to jinx it, but it's happened. So yeah, it was a lovely, lovely time again this year.
Oh, that's so lovely. And I know that with this play, it has its roots down to the very moments of inception in the park retreat. So, Natalie, you are working on a script called Subhuman. Would you tell us a little bit about that script and also where it came from?
Yeah, so Subhuman is a piece about the women from the Canadian Navy who studied, who were listening for submarines during the Cold War and even further back than that. And they were, unfortunately, they were some of the most highly qualified women in the Canadian Navy at the time. Like these were the real kind of achievers of the group, and they had a very, very high security clearance. But unfortunately, they were part of the purge, so they were kicked out of the Navy for being gay or for suspicion of being gay in many cases. And this play came out of another earlier play called Area 33. So I was down working on that piece. And a lot of the plays that I've been working on, I'd say in the past 10 years, have been pieces that have their roots in very local culture. So I'm from the South Shore of Nova Scotia. Area 33 is a piece about fraud in the lobster industry,
Huh.
and mysteries that surround that industry, like things we know or things we think we know about fishing and lobster fishing. And it's set in the Shag Harbor UFO Museum, which
Wow.
is down, yeah, it's in Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, down where I come from, the South Shore. And in the process of kind of researching, working on that piece, working on Area 33, Pamela Halstead, my dramaturg, asked me a backstory question that was so powerful. She's capable as anybody who would works with her nose. She can knock you right out of your chair with a dramaturgical question.
Yeah.
So she asked me one that was so powerful that it spawned this other play. It spawned Subhuman. Just I was looking at the backstory of this DFO officer, who is the lead in the show that's coming up. And it was such a great backstory question that she said to me, "Well, that sounds like a whole other play," and then it indeed did become another play. So yeah, it's and that one, Area 33, is actually being staged full production down here in Shelburne, July 21st. So very excited about that. I think it's the first time they've done full on professional theater down here in my hometown.
Huh.
And they're bringing me back to do it, which is powerful and lovely. So looking forward to that.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And what a privilege, too, to be able to be for me able to see like these long lasting relationships that park is building. This year you were able to work with Pamela again,
Yes.
um, which is so lovely. It must be such a mix of like I assume nostalgia and the comfort of the familiar, but also this like exciting new element of returning to something.
Right. Yeah, I would say, I mean, we got to work together on speed dating for sperm donors too. And we met as two transplanted Maritimers out in Calgary.
Wow.
So we just kind of found each other I came and pitched a show to Lunchbox and she liked the idea. And then we got to talking and realized that we had all this shared knowledge. So, I mean, I guess what it is it's shorthand. Like we just share these kind of shared knowledge pools, experience being kind of Easterner, like folks from the East and the West. And what happens when you have that shorthand is that you can take the work forward quickly, right? You can go further, you can ask harder questions because the trust is there and it's been built. So I always say like, Brooks and McIver, like, not that I would never, I love Daniel McIver's work, but I would just say that if you get a collaborator like that, that pushes you hard and pushes you fast. It's like, yeah, she's become that for my work, that I know that when I really need to kick it up a notch, take it to that next level, that's the person that I would love to work with, especially for the shows that have these maritime roots
Yeah.
because of that shared history.
That's so lovely. Speaking of maritime roots as well, I wonder,
Mm.
Natalie, why to you personally it's important to keep telling these stories, Canadian stories, but also with these specific lenses, why that matters to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it matters to me so hugely. And you'll see if and when, Area 33 tours or goes to other places, the protagonists in that piece never dream that they would have access to, no, they never dream that people would care about their stories.
Hmm.
And that's exactly how I grew up. There were great storytellers, people telling stories on the wharfs, people telling stories around the knitting table or while they're baking or whatever, but there was really not a lot of opportunity in terms of arts or culture. It was a very rural place, a very, a kind of a resource-based place. Like my grandfather and my uncles and folks are fishing people. So why it matters so hugely is that sort of natural storytelling bent, to be able to take that to professional theater and to kind of like take it to the wider world, but keep the roots of the humor that they have, and keep those stories kind of close to my heart and tell them with fidelity and honor, really. It means a ton. It means a ton. Not everybody gets to come back, but it's been very powerful to do so.
Oh, that's so lovely. That's so inspiring for me to hear as someone who may hope to follow in footsteps of folks like you. I find it
Oh,
very encouraging.
yeah.
And I wonder as well, for me being a young-ish intern looking on at you folks with so much respect, I find it very
Oh.
inspiring. But I wonder for you, Natalie, where do you draw your inspiration from as a writer? Either community members that motivate and inspire you, or even just like concepts and themes that you find yourself coming back to.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of it does come from the generation just above me. Like my mom's family were 14 kids. Yeah, and they had various, I'd say what we would call now adverse experiences, but they overcame them. Uh, and they overcame them with heart and humor and stick-to-itiveness, like elbow grease. And I find that very inspiring. I've always just been a person who is looking around the world with huge curiosity. Like if somebody, I find the things that people say out loud are kind of like everyday poetry.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will just say one line to me, and I'm kind of like, I feel like a light bulb go off, and I want to write it down. And I tell them, this is probably going to end up in something. Are you okay with that?
Huh.
And they're kind of like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, what you just said was a little tiny poem. And I heard it, and I start to just I mull it over. I think about it. Sometimes it comes out as a poem first, and I'm not done with it. Like I find the human beings around me hugely inspiring. And then of course the reading and the research, like I love Adrian Kennedy. Like there are just some artists and some writers. I love Carol Bolt, the work of Carol Bolt. She's a Canadian legend. I mean, Sharon Pollock, the firebrand that she was, looking back and kind of telling these huge stories. Carol Churchill, like the ability to kind of write exquisite dialogue and subtle dialogue about big issues, but make people laugh. Like these things, and show them a good time. It comes from a number of reasons. It's like a weird fusion between the kid who reads everything and reads too much, but I also really love
Mhm.
people and their everyday stories.
Yeah.
Um, so That was convoluted. I don't know if I got to, it's sort of
No.
a wash of like, this is what makes me excited. But we connected, Micah, like you and I, about that curiosity for the
Yeah.
natural world and that kind of like the roots of wonder. Like we had a great conversation about that. And I would say that's a huge part of it for me. I got to find something that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, Natalie. Um, I love it. And I think theater as well is a medium that is uniquely equipped to capture that by being something physical, something poetic, something visual, something kinesthetic through the body, um,
Yes. Yeah.
all of it together.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really know a play. Like, I love that you said that kinesthetic through the body. Like, so often we're writing dialogue. But one thing that I do, and also tell students to do, because I teach theater and playwriting too, is that you have to imagine the bodies in the space. Like, do one whole
Yeah.
draft, which is a silent draft, and just write, even if it doesn't all stay in the final draft of the play, like, write the bodies in space and do one whole draft through the piece where you see the bodies moving in space. I guess we could call it like a kinesthetic draft.
Yeah. That's something I struggled with a lot actually coming into my theater education, which is ongoing forever and ever.
Yeah, we
But
never stop. I feel like a newbie sometimes too. Yeah.
yeah, which has value in it, like
Mm.
into the world with an open heart. Um, but I consider myself very much a word-based person. I love language. I understand the world through language. And so then getting some training in playwriting, some training in acting, I was exposed to these concepts that are so hard for me to conceptualize, like physical theater and the way you move your body as like a storytelling tool. I was like, well, I can't understand it if I don't put it into words. And my instructor was like, stop doing that. You have to bypass that and feel it before you put it in language.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you can have a whole score, a physical movement score, and there's just as much communication in there as there is in language.
Yeah.
And it's a
It's
great exercise to do.
and I struggled with it. My God.
Mm.
Um, and hope to pass on that struggle to others in the future. But and I won't give spoilers for Subhuman, but I was very lucky to sit in on the readings, and I know that the sensory experience of this history plays a strong part in the script as well, which is cool.
Mm. Yes, they're listening for, I don't mind the spoilers, they're listening for submarines. And so they're specially trained to listen for the very certain sonar signature. So to the naked ear or to people who don't have that training, it would sound like clicks and the lines scratching on the big roll of paper would look like scratches. But once they're trained, they know exactly what that means. They know it's not a whale. They know it's not a floating ball of like fish. They know that that would be actually a nuclear submarine out in the water. I'm pointing out here. I don't know if I have the right direction, but right out there. Um, so that kind of sound draft of it is really important too. And actually, I have a sound designer who is a former student of mine who's giving it a read,
Oh,
which is lovely. Yeah, giving the piece a read and just kind of taking me through what a sound audit. I asked Ruby Swan, she's a wonderful sound designer from Calgary, and I said, "Can you go through this and just give me your sound audit? Like if you were doing your dream sound design for this piece when we stage it, which we're going to, then how would it sound to you?"
mm-hmm.
So she's working on that right now, and I'm super excited to hear how that there we go, big mouth.
My beautiful cat is joining us.
It's
Just
not a good interview until you have a cat butt. I love it. Yeah,
simply
there we
because
go.
what you have to
Cat
say is so
butt.
interesting. Oh, we're so lucky we've been graced.
I love
That's
it.
so interesting, Natalie. And I think the connection there between sense and memory as well is very interesting.
Mm.
The way memories in or to my understanding, the way memories in Subhuman are expressed through the senses. Um,
Yes.
I think that will be very impactful, and I'm very excited to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, yeah, we too, we too. That one's just getting its fine tuning, and yeah, we're not sure. Probably next year it'll hit the stage, like 2020, probably 2026. Just in the planning and the stages for that. But the script itself, I was able to hopefully, hopefully, I'm like, is the dramaturge listening? I think we got it tuned up. There might be a few more little things to tighten the screws on, but I feel like I got so much out of my time there and with you all in terms of finding the ending, really resolving, the meat of what I wanted to get to, keeping the comedy alive in that piece because it is a play about the purge, right? So I like to write comedies about serious things. That's my kind of jam. And one of the things we really found is just how important that is. Like from the first moment that the piece hits the stages, we need to make sure that everyone has permission to laugh because these survivors of the purge, the women that I've been talking to and interviewing, they survive through comedy and humor. And they're
Yeah.
very funny, very like hilarious and charming. That this piece has been informed by a lot of interviews with people who live through that. And one thing I got is like, yeah, you gotta laugh. That's the only way to get through it. So that's something we got that. We're like, this has to be on in every minute of the play. It has to be there because it counterbalances the grievous things that happen to them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse the scratching noises as my dear sweet cat runs around.
Look,
Um,
we gotta be the only thing we need now is like a toddler or a baby, that to upstage. Yeah. It's like animals and children. Yeah.
I can find one surely somewhere. But I was
Just a random, you're gonna go find one. I need this. I need this toddler.
theater people are very resourceful, I'm sure.
That's right. If I
Um,
put that on a scavenger hunt, I bet you could.
totally.
Yeah.
That's fun. As I was speaking with Leodon Helena too, one of our other park playwright participants, lots of P
Mm.
this year. She was also speaking about how humor is so critical to what she writes, and had said something really fun along the lines of if it wasn't for finding the humor in things, we'd all go crazy.
That
And
makes
I
a lot of
feel that.
sense. Hmm.
That's so lovely. But I'm so grateful, Natalie, to have had the opportunity to speak with folks like you, but also the rest of our park participants this year. I'd like to leave a little space if there's anything else you feel like you would like to say, either about your experience to connect with folks or to future would-be playwrights who maybe words you could share could help
Right.
them on their journeys, or nothing at all, whatever you'd like.
Right. For the retreat itself, I would say the importance of the kitchen. I would
Mm,
say the importance of the kitchen. One thing I always try to do when I'm there, because we all have our heads in our writing. You're kind of you'd be in a struggle moment, or you could be in a I captured something moment. But that kitchen is this kind of third space. And you might not feel like connecting with a big group, but there's somebody sitting down there and they're almost always ready for somebody to start a little conversation. Like I had some of the most lovely, like the best and most enriching conversations have been made while I was in there scrambling up some tofu or just offering somebody a bite or, just connecting with people in that little magical third space. I found that to be so enriching. And so don't skip the kitchen. That's my,
I
you
love
know,
it.
hiding in your room and writing is all good, but at some point it's just like yeah, you want to go and connect, make some food, make an extra plate, offer somebody something. And we do that formally too, right? Those big potlucks are amazing. Like the spreads, the stuff that you end up on the table with a bunch of theater folks is great.
Something for me, no matter what year, I haven't done it a crazy amount. The interns, there's a bit of overhaul between the years,
Mm.
but every time I've been at a park potluck, sometime, some year, there have always been fiddleheads, which I love. Someone always finds that little regional dish, no matter where in the world they're from. Someone
Yep.
finds fiddleheads and brings them. I love that.
Somebody brings them because they're in season, right? And they're gorgeous. It's a little taste of New Brunswick. Yeah, it's lovely. You have to hit the page alone a lot as a playwright. And if you can do little retreats or find these moments of communion with other writers, that's kind of what keeps that's like the carrot on the end of the string. I guess to treasure those when you can find them. If you get a workshop production or an actor to read your work, even over pizza, however you do it, just keep, find those little moments and really treasure them.
That's so lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Natalie.
Hmm.
And thank you for finding the time to join me. Natalie Meisner is the playwright writing Subhuman, and was one of the playwright park playwright participants for the 2025 retreat. Thank you, Natalie.
All right. Thanks, Micah. I loved having the chance to chat with you today. Oh, and I'll leave you with come on down to Shelburne, go to the UFO Museum and see the show. That's what I like to leave you with too. there's a field trip coming out from Eastern Front Theater, and they're taking folks from Halifax. You get to go to the Shag Harbor UFO Museum, the
Oh,
real place. You see the show, and you have a lovely dinner. I think they're at the winery here. And then you stay on the bus for the whole day with a bunch of raucous theater folks, and it will be a great day out from Halifax. So that's the 26th of July. So come on down and explore
wonderful.
this neck of the woods.
We will mark our calendars. Thank you, Natalie.
All right.
Enjoy
Thanks
the
so
rest of your
much.
day.